Okay, when that red light goes on, then I know we are live. Hi, Alida. How are you?
I'm great. Hi, Linda. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, I thought it was fun because to get to chat with you because last week we have a mutual friend, Lisa, and we talked about stress when you're in a career that you hate.
Oh,
Because I work with people who are stressed in their
yeah.
life, and then I thought, you know what? That sometimes, which I think is what you do. I'm going to let you say what you do, but people don't necessarily want to change their career, but they feel stuck, right, in their position. So I thought, let's talk with you about that because you're the expert on that. So would you clarify exactly what it is you do and who you work with?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. So I work with people who are sort of in the middle of their careers and they feel stuck because they're not getting ahead in some way. So either they have been in a position for a long time and aren't getting the opportunities that they want to move up, or they've just started a new position but they feel a little overwhelmed and stuck and stressed by that. Or sometimes I work with people who are wanting to change jobs because they just know that they're not going to get where they want to go in their current company and they want to go somewhere else. But
Got it.
yeah, Lisa definitely does a lot more with like they're changing their whole life and where else they want to go. For me, it's more kind of they know the path they want to be on. They're just not getting there because of something. So yeah.
Okay. And do you work, Alida, with men and women?
I do, yeah, men and women, really across the spectrum, whether they're in their first manager job or they manage teams of teams, they're ready to go to that director or VP kind of level. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. What do you
And
think?
how
Go
about you?
ahead.
You work with men and women?
No, I just really work with women. I mean, over the last 37 years, I've worked with both in a lot of different capacities, always around health. But now I really work with women and I really focus on stress
Uh,
uh, just because I feel like when somebody's in chronic stress, it's the main root cause of health issues.
so
So, yeah, so that's what I do. But I work primarily with women.
okay, great. Good.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. It's a different conversation, at least in the area that I do, because we're, talking sometimes about some personal things, and I feel like it changes the dynamic when
Mhm.
there's, both sexes in the conversation. But so I'm curious, Alida, when somebody's in a management or in a position in their career and they're like, I want to move up, I like this company, but I can't move up in this company, or I can't seem to break into the next level. What do you think are the most common reasons that happens?
Yeah, it can be a lot of different things. I think one thing that happens is that people a lot of clients that I work with are a little bit more shy or a little bit more reserved. They've been good performers their whole lives, but they're sort of coming from a place of feeling like their work should speak for itself, and that they should just be noticed because they're doing good work and they're delivering good work. And I wish as much as the next person that that's exactly what would happen, but unfortunately, that's not what happens in organizations. Really, doing good work is a piece of it, but you also have to really be able to build relationships and make connections and promote your work in ways that are going to get you noticed. And that can be really hard for people who feel uncomfortable doing that or feel like they shouldn't have to do that. So that's one of the things I think is people don't get to move up because they haven't built their relationships. Sometimes it's a particular boss who sees them a certain way, or maybe they've worked there for a long time and the boss has a particular mindset about them that they just don't see the other things that the person's capable of. So that's another real challenge. And then other times, there are some other political dynamics, like the way they get positioned by other people in the company that can get in the way of having people see them as somebody who can really move ahead. So I really work with clients on all of those dimensions, kind of how they step into their own personal power, and then how they can build their reputation both with their boss and with other people, and sort of play those political games, but to do it from a place that feels authentic for them and not uncomfortable or disingenuous. So we work on a lot of strategies about that.
Yeah, that is so interesting because as you were talking, especially the first one where you said people, especially when they're good workers, They sort of think their work should stand on its own and people should just notice that. I feel like that happens in just all relationships. Like people think, oh, my spouse should know this about me. They should
Right.
just know that I like this, or they should know we've been together 20 years. They should know, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so there's this frustration, but they're
Right.
not communicating it. That I didn't,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I feel like that
That's right.
um, that's a common way that people can be in all aspects of their life, maybe.
That's right. And then, as you know, that creates stress, right? When the world isn't working the way we wish it would. That's
Yes,
stressful. Yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah, that's why I was like doing a series on the workforce, however it is, whether you want to change careers, whether you want to move up. Work is such a big part of our lives.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of where we get our identity from, that it can be a very stressful place, especially
Mhm.
when the landscape, is changing or whatever. So it's not my area of expertise, but I know whose it is, which is yours. So, and I just want to help people not be so stressed in their life. I've gone through, not really around work so much, but in my personal life, some significant stresses or
Mhm.
stressors. And when you're in that place of chronic stress, it's hard to think and problem solve. It's hard to see the possibility of what to do next. It's hard to communicate well. You're in really fight or flight. You're sort of really fighting for the
Yeah,
position you've got.
that's
And
right.
you know, I would think that that might be how it feels when you're in a job and you want to be promoted. Like,
Yeah,
I've got to fight for this. And it sounds to me like you shift that whole perspective. People don't need to be in a fight to do that.
that's right. In fact, you can't be in a fight to do it because you won't get taken seriously. I think the other sources of stress for people, that I also hear from people is, like, they feel like they can't move up because they're already so overwhelmed. You know,
Uh,
the workplace right now is asking so much of people, like, more and more every day, and it's just so exhausting to be a manager in this environment because everything is coming at you at once, and you're trying to get your own career to move forward. Plus, you're trying to manage the people on your team and help them move forward. And you've got all these, different pieces. So that's also really stressful. And the other part that I help people learn how to navigate, like really deciding what their core work is, what they need to focus on, how they can delegate, and then how they can say no, frankly, to be able to get some of that overwhelm out of the way so that they can shine and be successful. But yeah, I mean, that takes a real toll on people, very stressful. Um, yeah, and then just one other thing I wanted to mention is conflict at work, which is another big stressor. You
oh
know,
yeah,
when people end up in disagreements or conflicts, which can happen so often because, every part of the organization is trying to go for what it's supposed to go for, and sometimes
hmm
those are a little bit in conflict, and then you get people in conflict, and then that's really stressful. So all three of those, I think, are really moments where people are stressed in their careers, and I help with the strategies about how you pull out of that. But I know for some of my clients, it's taken a physical toll, and they could use more help even than what I do with them to manage the rest of their life and kinda get the rest of their health back online.
yeah. I definitely have worked with a lot of people who are at the place that they're at in their health because of chronic daily stress at their job. So it impacts their digestive system,
Mhm.
their cardiovascular system, because they're always in this fight or flight, like fast heart rate, shallow breathing type of thing. And then, like you said, even just it's so much coming at you. There's no time to eat properly. There's no
Right,
time to hydrate yourself. So, and that's going to have a cumulative effect on your physical body. So
right.
I've never really had a corporate job. I have always
Mhm.
been since I was 18 years old and I'm 57. So that's a lot of years I've been in health and wellness.
Yeah,
So, but my sister had a corporate job. I knew friends, and I would always think to myself, "Oh my God, they just bleed you dry." I mean, like
yeah.
even when you go home, you're still thinking about what you needed, what you didn't get done, what you need to do tomorrow. It never really shuts off, right?
That's right. Well, and that's, I think one of the most interesting challenges right now is that there are so many ways that people are leaving the corporate world but there are some kind of jobs you just can't do outside of a corporation. Like I've worked with, when I lived in Houston, I worked with clients who were building these big, these big plants and things, and like they wanted to be part of something big like that. And you can't. I did a project with NASA. Like we can't have a space shuttle with people just working on their own. Like that takes a corporate kind of structure. There's certain
Yeah.
things we just can't accomplish without some kind of corporate structure. So people even, have their own personal goals, but the way they're going to get there is by working in these big organizations. So it does take some survival skills to figure out how you're going to do that and how you're going to say no and set boundaries and build good relationships and partnerships with your colleagues. And then at the same time, get to the end of your workday and stop working so you can take care of your health and your body. It's
Yeah, go home and be a partner, a parent, all of that, right? Like, what do you have left? So I
yeah.
think it's so important what you do and so critical because I hadn't really thought of that, what you just said, but there are things that can't be done in any other framework. And it's, you know, I'm sure there's other jobs besides corporate jobs that are stressful, but that's really a place where people spend a lot of years of their life is in a certain corporation, and you work hard to try to move up, and so feeling
Yeah.
like you can when you've given so much. um, so I just think that is so important what you do. And if you were going to give somebody like one or two things
Mhm.
that they could leave this conversation that could make a difference. And I know you started off by saying there's a lot of different things that come into it. So not everything maybe applies to every person, but is there something that you could say to somebody like, well, you want to make sure this or you want to make sure that if you've been feeling stuck?
Yeah. I think I'm going to start with what we were just talking about, which is like, don't rely on your company to set boundaries for you or to make you happy. Like you have to come into the relationship with your organization in a way that you're staying whole and true to yourself and not relying on your boss or your company or anybody else to acknowledge that you've done the work or feel like you've done enough work or feel like you're good enough. So part of what I work with my clients on is how do they claim that back for themselves so that
Mm,
it sort of doesn't matter so much whether they're getting it from the organization, because organizations aren't necessarily set up to do that for you. I mean, the good ones know how to do that and how to help you feel welcomed and appreciated, but not everybody does. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to move. Like some of that you can learn to do more for yourself, and then you don't need it so much
mhm.
somewhere else. And then I think the other thing is really about finding a way to learn how to play the relationships and politics so that they work in your favor. And that's where, having a really good mentor or guide can be helpful because it's hard when you're in it, even if you're good at it, to really see what to do next. But if you've got someone who can kind of help you through that and help you plan your next moves and decide how you want to show up, that can be really useful. And then, the other thing I tell all my clients right from the start is you've got to manage your energy, and that means you've got to take good care of your physical self too. So that's where someone like you and the kind of work you do would be really useful. So I'd love to hear the same, like for my audience, like what advice would you have for them about how to handle stress and how to take care of their bodies when they're under stress?
Yeah, sure. I never expect the question back, so it's good. But a a big thing with people who have been a long time in stress is their bodies don't know how to shut it off.
Mm,
Their nervous system is stuck in a
mm,
fight or flight
mm,
pattern. And so even if there's not necessarily something stressful going on, like a deadline or a meeting, their body still, is
mm,
there.
mm,
So I do a lot of work with helping people teaching their nervous system to shut off. And then one easy way to do that, I'm sure you do this with your clients because this is kind of like right off the bat, is doing some breathing. Because when you're running from a tiger, which is what stress and fight or flight is,
right.
you've got to breathe a certain way to run, right? You're breathing fast and shallow. As soon as you start to do slow, deep breaths, you you can't really do that and be running from a tiger. So just by teaching people how to shift their breathing, it
Mhm.
will give their body like the neurological
Mhm.
signal, oh, I'm not in fight and flight right now. Oh, I
Yeah.
can calm down. So doing some slow, deep breaths, and it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It can be 5 breaths. You
Yeah.
know, it can be a cycle for 2 minutes. It can be where you set your watch or your phone every hour and you just go into the bathroom and go into a stall and do a cycle for a minute. You know, like just to keep telling your body,
It's
we're on
okay.
pace,
It's
we're
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So I would do that, and I would do hydration.
Yeah.
Hydration and food really, because you know you're a mom. When you have a new baby, you don't forget the diaper bag, or if you forget it once, you never do again because everything that baby needs is in that diaper bag, right? You've got the bottles and the diapers, and then we don't do that for ourselves. We don't
Right.
remember and plan the diaper bag. Like, what do I need for the day? What do I really need that to take care of myself? So it's not 2 o'clock and I haven't eaten since 7 and I haven't, right? And we just to take care of yourself in the same way that you did when your son was small. So
Yeah.
plan ahead, bring the food, make sure you're hydrated. And I think that sometimes it might feel weird to be the one doing that because nobody else is, everybody else is head
Yeah.
down, you know, just right? So that you're but people start to see how you show up. You've got more energy. You've got a different mood. You're producing differently. You don't look worn out and frazzled in the meetings. And now that's desirable. The boss wants to see that kind of person as opposed to the exhausted, dehydrated headache person, right? So it actually really works to your advantage, not over in how only in how you feel, but in how you show up and how people are going to relate to you in that job and in that meeting. So
Yeah.
that's what I would
So
say. Yeah.
I
And I'm
love
sure
that.
you
I
do all
love
that with your clients, like how to imagine do all that kinds of stuff, but that would be my quick answer.
Well, we do the time management. I hadn't thought about the, like, planning ahead for your food. That's really smart to bring that along and, you know, and one of the things we say is, "So what if you look silly?" I mean, leaders go first. So if it's healthy for you, you're setting an example for your colleagues. That's
Yeah.
really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking that when you were saying, like, sometimes corporations aren't set up to make you feel good, but if you're in a management position and you have a team and you learn those skills, even if the other parts of the company aren't doing it, if you start to do that with your team,
Yeah.
people are gonna notice, or your team's gonna be the one that produces, so that's really key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's right.
this morning, I left my house super early, and I was like, I always try to have protein, right? I wanna do what's gonna keep my blood sugar balanced. So, I had leftover meatballs. I went out to dinner last night with my sister, and I had 2 leftover meatballs, and I was like, "Let me just grab them because I can just if I'm gonna get home late, I didn't know, what time I would get home in order to be with you. Am I gonna have time to eat?" But, like, meatballs are gonna give me some protein. I'm gonna feel full. I had my water and just works.
Yeah, yeah. I've been really trying to pay more attention to the water thanks to you and others in our circle of friends really paying attention to staying hydrated, and it's made a big difference for me in terms of having more energy late in the afternoon. You know, it's like if I'm drinking water all day, I'm not as worn out by the end of the day.
Yeah. When
Yeah,
I'm dehydrated, I feel tired, like, I feel like, "Oh, I
yeah,
wanna lay down."
yeah.
'Cause my body misreads the signals, and also a headache. Those are the 2
Mhm.
things that people will get when they're dehydrated, where they think, "I need to go take an Advil," or, "I'm feeling really tired," but if they would just drink a bunch of water, both of those would go away. So,
Right. Or do you need a cup of coffee, which is bad on both fronts, right? Because it messes with your sleep and it doesn't hydrate you.
yes, it actually dehydrates you. So, yeah. So, well, thank you so much, Alida, for jumping on with me today. Is there anything else? And I'm going to ask in a minute where people can reach you or how they could see more of what you do. But before we do that, is there anything else that you want to say in this conversation?
Not that I can think of. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's been really fun to kind of talk about. I think you and I both share this goal of helping people feel better and have better, happier, more fulfilled lives. And we come at it from these two places. And like, I love this conversation today. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you. Me too. I was really glad you were available. So if people are like, oh my goodness, I love Alida as much as Linda loves Alida, how do I get more of her? Where would they do that?
Well, I have a 45-minute webinar on
Oh, good.
how professionals can kind of move ahead in their career and some of the shifts that they can make, some of which we've talked about today. But I'll go ahead and post that link. It's zmcoach.com/watch. That's one of the places where people can learn more, get some more tips and ideas and hear some more examples about what it takes to get out of that stuck place and move ahead. So yeah, they can check that out.
coach.com/watch.
Yep. Yeah.
I think you put it in the chat, but that's private between you and I.
Oh, okay.
So I just put it in the chat and this is being streamed to like 3 different places. So if somebody's asking a question, I can't see it. I go back and look, and I'll certainly answer. But now I put that there, zmcoach.com/watch.
Thank you.
And
how about for you, Linda? If my clients or people on my list are really interested in how to turn their health situation around or how to deal with stress in a more healthy way for their bodies, how would they reach you?
Well, I have some stuff that I've also done in the past that talks about that and some key shifts. So let me put that in.
Great.
And you could share that.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I'll be emailing this out to my list too, so I'll grab it from there.
Okay, great. Well, Alida, thank you so much. Have a great hydrated rest of your day. And maybe we'll do it again sometime.
I'd love that. Thanks, Linda. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.